Hi, good evening, and welcome to the Ask Sue show with a bit of a different one tonight for the psychic night, because obviously we usually have some little do readings and all sorts, but the Ask Sue likes to go. We like to do the other side of the garden fence, as they say. And obviously we've interviewed the lovely Gwen Acorah not that long ago when it was the year of me doing the show on my anniversary. And what a pleasure it was too. The 2 hours just flew by. And I am almost certain that tonight is going to be exactly the same. And tonight we are going to have the other side. We are going to be having the lovely Gwen Acorah. Hi Gwen, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good, good. Have you had a nice day today?
I have, yes. Everything has been very busy.
Excellent, excellent. I'm really looking forward to tonight because it's quite funny. So I've had a few messages and people said, oh no, what are you going to ask her and everything? I went, I don't know. We'll just go with the flow. I said, I'm sure we'll end up having a good old British chin wag. So first of all, how are you and Derek? And tell us what's going on around you at the moment as far as obviously you must be busy with the events going on, of course, with Derek.
Oh, yes. We're always busy. Derek's doing his Eternal Spirits tour around the country at the moment. He's also had a couple of television shows that he's been on just recently. He was filming yesterday, excuse our clock.
It's okay.
He was filming yesterday for a rather interesting program, the details of which I can't give you at the moment.
Okay.
But it'll be on Channel 4 very soon. And he has done a Halloween special for Keith Lemon with Celebrity Juice, so he'll be making a brief appearance on that too.
Oh, excellent, excellent. So I need to go back now in time a little bit, and obviously we're not going to say anything about ages because I'm feeling quite old at the moment, saying that I'm going to be 40 next year, and I keep saying to the kids, putting that 4 and the O together at the same time. But have you always been interested in the psychic world, Gwen? How is this for you? Where did it all start for you? Is it something you're already interested in?
I was not so much interested in the psychic world because I didn't really give it an awful lot of thought. I've always had my own feelings about the afterlife, and I've always believed that we do go on from here. And I've also always believed that we do have a blueprint for our lives, and it's up to us actually whether we follow the pathway or whether we don't. But ultimately, I believe that we reach the end by whichever route. But as far as the psychic world and ghost hunting and all this sort of thing, no, I didn't really give it an awful lot of thought. And until I met Derek, I hadn't even heard of what a medium. I didn't know what a medium was. It was totally a whole new world to me. I'd heard of fortune tellers and tarot card readers, and on an occasion I'd actually been with people from the office in which I worked for a tarot reading to a guy called Mr. Flynn, who was famous in Liverpool. I mean, this was way before I met Derek. And I was so surprised by the stuff that he came out with and told me about myself, but he was very dull. He was frightening. He really was. But nonetheless, he was very accurate, as it turns out, because the things that he told me all those years ago, they all came to be. And although still I didn't recognise him as being a medium, it was only when I met Derek that the penny dropped. And although saying that, Derek was very circumspect about telling me what he did, because at the time when I met him, he wasn't a full part-time medium. He had a day job, and that was in sport, where he used to go to sports centres and tutor children in football and different sporting aspects of sporting life. And he did sort of broach the subject to me, you know, sort of how did I feel about this? And of course I told him exactly what I've just told you now, and that was when he sort of said, well.
and did he give you a reading at that time?
There was no way I was going to tell my mum and dad at that point in time. And guess what? The new boyfriend's a clairvoyant. Hey, what do you think of that one, you know?
At that time, did he literally pick up anything off you? Did he say something that obviously blew you away with his love and charm, obviously, in the end? But, you know, was there something that he said to you? Did he give you something as far as a reading, or did he pick up on somebody close to you at that time?
No, not. I mean, this subject took 3 or 4 months to come up. It didn't happen straight away. He kept things very close to his chest. No. So initially, no. It was more an interest in what he was doing, and then of course the ultimate thing was, well, you know, can you see anything with me? And I can remember sitting. He had in those days. He used to use tarot cards and crystal balls, because people couldn't accept the fact that he was sitting opposite him, that they were sitting opposite him, having a reading of him, but the information was not coming from anywhere. They always used to prefer the fact that he used either tarot cards or a crystal ball or whatever, because they thought the information was coming from that aspect.
And they still do that now.
They do, to a degree. I think that nowadays people are more informed. I mean, I'm going back an awful lot of years, and people didn't accept quite so easily the fact that somebody could sit opposite them and say, well, I've got your great aunt Fanny or whatever here, you know. They didn't accept that. It was more they would accept more information coming from what they thought to be an inanimate object. It was totally different then for the uninformed. I mean, I'm not talking about people who were used to going to spiritualist churches and who knew the system of things. I'm talking about people like me.
I know what you mean. Just best way to put it is just ordinary Joe Public. The ones that just popped in. Because when I've gone to fairs, you'll always see the ones that've got the tarot cards and the crystal balls. They're quite busy, and then the one that's just sitting there that hasn't got a lot around them could be the best, but people just see what they see.
Oh yeah.
They don't look through that.
Yes,
definitely.
People think for some reason that they'll get more from somebody who's got a crystal ball or a set of tarot cards in front of them than they would from a medium. Whereas I'm not saying it's universal, but I'm saying that in an awful lot of cases the opposite is true, because a tarot reader is a tarot reader who has psychic abilities and who may be very, very good, but they are not on the same level, in my opinion, as somebody who doesn't use that extra tool.
Yeah. So I've got to ask you this, because we're talking about readings. Have you had a lot of people, like other psychics, that have given you readings because it's like almost to a bit of a challenge, if you like?
I've had a lot of people wanting to give me readings, but I won't receive a reading from anybody. I don't want a reading. I don't require a reading. I know that my mum and dad are in another realm, that they're in the spirit world. I know that they love me. I don't require confirmation of that. It sounds very arrogant of me, but I don't require it.
Not at all.
I prefer to meet tomorrow, and I don't really want anybody to say or tell me that sort of to predict for me. I don't want that. That's just me, sort of. I don't want it.
Do you know what? I think that's lovely, and that's no disrespect to Derek, who's going to snatch the phone off you in a minute and say, "You what?" But I think that's lovely because, let's face it, a lot of wives go with their husband and will back up everything they say. But you're sort of saying, no, actually, I'm quite happy being in the way that I am. Whatever's going to come to me will come to me. I don't need to be, because I must admit, and that sort of blown my little joke I was going to have with you, because it's like saying, well, what's the point of having a conversation with him, because he's going to tell you what's going to happen anyway. You know what I mean? But you've already said, well, actually, I don't want to know. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
No, well, this is the way that I am, and this is the way that I've always been. Well, always been. I was intrigued with what Derek did, and sort of I'd sit there with a crystal ball in my hand, saying to him, "What do you see?" But this was when we first met. And this was when it was all new to me as well. But over the years, that's the way that I prefer things to be.
Yeah. I mean, it's the first time I properly spoke to you. I did speak to you, didn't I, very briefly before speaking to Derek last time. But I love, and I've got to say to everybody, if you haven't friended Gwen yet, please go on Facebook. Your statuses crack me up some days. They are just like me. I mean, I have to be a bit more careful what I say on the RC Radio Show. But if you want to know if it's black and white you're looking for and no grey, go to Gwen's page. And absolutely fantastic. I love it. I mean, to be fair, you don't need to know what's going on tomorrow because you're just sorting out today. I just love it. You know what I mean? But the thing is, you're your own person, and I love that. I mean, I can see by your posts that you do every day that you're a very proud wife for your husband, and and the things that you do. But
absolutely.
I also love the fact that you're your own person too. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that would follow their husband and they'd say, "Oh yeah, I'm very much into it, and yes, I know exactly what's coming up, and he's so good. He tells me this, something like that." But you're not. You're saying, "Hold on, no, I actually don't want to know that," and that takes a lot of. You're very much your own person, and that's nice. Do you know what I mean? But do you see that? Sorry.
Yes.
Do you see that a bit difficult? Do people not see you like that sometimes? Is it hard just being Gwen and not always being Derek's wife?
I do tend to be viewed as an extension of Derek Acorah, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of people expect me to just be, well, another version of Derek, but I'm sorry, I'm not. I suppose it's got a lot to do with the fact that when we met, we were both in our middle 30s. I mean, so maybe things had been different if I'd have been, or we had been a lot younger. I don't know, but we were both fully formed, fully rounded human beings before we met. So we are independent people. Yeah. Derek has his views on things. I have my views on things. I'm not going to sit here and say that everything that Derek says, I'll say, oh yes, that's got to be so, because I'm as questioning as the next person, and yes, I will call into question sometimes.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall when that starts.
It can be
do you have a lot of
vigorous?
I mean, do you have a lot of things like that? Are you a couple that will question each other's thoughts?
Yes, I would say that yes.
I don't mean that you have a row every night. I don't mean it like that.
No. It's not a row sort of situation, but there are certain things that I would say, well, actually, you know, sort of, I don't agree with that, and Derek would say exactly the same to me, you know, sort of, well, I think you're wrong because this is my view, you know, so but it's not a row situation, it's more a discussion.
Yeah, but you know what it's like. If I don't put that right, everyone would say, see, they do have rows.
Oh, yes,
you can imagine it already, can't you?
With human.
It's quite funny. There's so many jokes I could be saying here. I've just got this vision of you saying something to him about, no, I don't want to go, I want to go there next week. And he's saying, no, it's not going to be good. I know it's not. You know what I mean? Do you actually have rows like that? Seriously,
No.
rows. I mean, disagreements and in things that, has it ever come to it that he's actually said to you, no, we can't do this because it's not going to be good. I feel that this isn't the right decision, or has he guided you in a way without maybe not even discussing it to a point, but just saying, look, it's not the right time right now?
If Derek said to me, I don't feel that it's good, and I felt that he was really, really not adamant, but really convinced, I would go along with what he would say. And there've been occasions when he's said to me, if I'm driving out alone, he'd say, do me a favour, don't go this way, go that way. I'd actually go the way that he'd suggested. Because I do respect his feelings and his mediumship. I've seen so much over the years that I'd be foolish not to take heed. But I'm talking about, you know, so when we disagree, it's a situation where some of his theories I question. Some of them I'm perfectly accepting of. Yes,
I know what you mean. Absolutely. I just, sorry for that little disruption. My daughter's diving out the door. It's quite, I mean, you know, obviously there's loads of different people have got different, how can I put it, different ways of life. You know, like the husband will do one job and one will do the other. But you are together most of the time, aren't you, with obviously the events and everything, and obviously you've been a great support with him and everything. Does it get a bit hard sometimes because you're so much in the limelight and together a lot of the time? Does that put pressures on it as well?
No, not really. I mean, we're so used to being together. I mean, we're together 24/7. I think we're both used to one another, and we don't have a particular problem with that. Derek has his interests, you know, so if he has his football and his chickens and this sort of thing, and I'm usually working when he's carrying out his pastimes. So we're sort of not actually physically in each other's company 24/7, but generally we're together all the time, and it doesn't create a problem really, no.
It's lovely. I love, like I say, I've got to say, I know every time we see the posts, it's lovely that, you know, you do so much together, and your posts are always together. It's lovely. It's just nice to see. So what does Gwen like doing on her spare time? And I've just got to say, before we think, I've got Shelley Preston in the chat room saying a big hello to Gwen from the fan club.
Hello, Shelley, and thank you for all the work you do with the fan club. It's fantastic. It really is. Derek and I are both eternally grateful to both Shelley and Faith for all the work that they do with the fan club. You know, but as far as my pastimes are concerned, I'm trying to research my family tree, and I'm addicted to it at the moment. So every spare moment that I have, I'm beavering away with Find My Past and Ancestry and things like that, sort of trying to find out what the family Billinge and Fozzard were doing all those years ago. So
Yeah.
that's my all-consuming pastime at the moment. I
Do you
like
know what,
gardening too.
I'm always fascinated by family trees and all of that.
Mm.
It amazes me. I just love it. I got back to, I think, the 1700s on my mum's side.
Mm.
But all I've got to say to people is, my little bit of guidance talk for tonight is, if you've got your grandma still here and she's telling you stories and you think, oh, not
Write
this one
it
again,
down.
write it down or tape it. Do
Yeah.
not leave it until after they've gone and think, I wish I'd have took notes like I
Well,
did.
you see, this is the mistake that I made, because years and years and years ago, I said to my dad, I'm thinking of looking at the, sort of doing the family tree, and I'm so sorry that I didn't sort of ask more questions and, sort of take notes, because a lot of things are hazy memories to me
Yes.
now, because it's 21 years since I lost my dad.
Yeah.
And so I'm so sorry that I didn't take notes then, because it's only a couple of years ago that I really actually got my act together and said, right, I'm going to do it now. And there are so many things I can think of that I would have loved to have asked him, because it would have answered so many questions and saved me an awful lot of searching through records and this sort of thing, But thank God for the internet. Yeah. That's all I can say.
Well, I was on that Genes Reunited and stuff, and it's like you just think you've got onto this little trail, and all of a sudden, no, it's not that one.
There was nothing worse.
Sorry,
It's
no,
sort of,
it's the wrong
you're really
one,
on
sorry.
a roll, and then you discover that you've been following the wrong family. Been down that route.
That's when you have to suddenly get the still chainsaw and saw that branch off and restart again.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh gosh, I've been there, done that, and up till silly o'clock in the morning doing it as well, and it's, oh my gosh, but it's fascinating. So how far have you gone back in your family tree then, Gwen?
On my father's side, I've gone back to this late 1700s. On my mother's side, I've been more fortunate. I've got way back to sort of the 1500s on that side, but basically because the names are more unusual,
Right.
and that makes an awful lot of difference.
Yes. Yeah, well, it's not so good for me because mine's Davis. I mean, it's not easy.
Rather a lot about. It's like the Johnsons.
Yeah, exactly. And then my nana was a Williams. I mean, that's as common as it comes. Do you know what I mean? No disrespect, Con. But you know what I mean? And it's just fascinating. I love things. I'm not into so much my history, but I'm fascinated by, what family were like. And I'll tell you a little story. I can remember my granddad. I said, have you got any pictures of your mum, Granddad? And he went, yeah, I have somewhere. Anyway, I went the next day. He said, oh, I've got that picture you asked for. And I said, oh, okay, can I have a look? Anyway, he showed me this picture. And I went, was that your granddad? And he went, no, that's my mum. She looked just like an old man. She looked like a man. And it was like, and she was a bit like a big lady, but she was stuck in, and I was like, oh my goodness, do you know what I mean? And it was so funny, but I just regret the fact that I didn't ask enough questions, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like you say, it's just finding the work. So my top tip of the day, everybody, go and speak to your gran and granddads as soon as you can and get as much information as you can and learn from mine and Gwen's mistake.
Yes, I can only second that.
Yeah. So let's just go back. How did you and Derek actually meet then?
We had friends in common, and we sort of were actually friends before we started going out together. For 6 months or more, really. And sort of we'd have a coffee with whoever we ever met up and this sort of thing. And then one day he asked me whether I'd like to go for a meal, and we did, and it sort of went from there. In our youth, of course, we were both going out to the clubs in Liverpool, and he swears that he remembers me, but I don't remember him.
Yeah.
I used to work in a club in Liverpool, and he says he remembers me working there. I don't know whether he does or he doesn't, because Derek's memory isn't sort of most wonderful tool in his box.
He doesn't need to remember, he gets told.
But so that's how we met, and that's how we started going out together. It just sort of went from there. We used to talk for hours and hours. I mean, if anybody out there knows Derek, sort of, they'll know how good he is at talking. And I'm not talking about on stage, but yes, he's a good talker. I can remember sometimes he'd be sitting there, and I'd be thinking, oh my God, I've got to be up in the morning. This was 4 o'clock in the morning, and I'd have to be up about 7, you know, sort of, oh, please shut up and go home.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but I must admit, like, when he came onto the show, he was as nice and pleasant to talk to as you are, and it was so easy to have in the interview because, you know, it's just, and just like you, just so, and then just like I said to everybody on the statuses, you are just so open about things and everything, and it's just lovely. I love, and I've got to say, that little chick. If anybody hasn't seen this little chick, it's hilarious. Gwen just said to everybody, we've got to find a name for it.
Yes, well,
Can
Friday's the cut-off point, so all the chick names.
Oh, my goodness. I was amazed. I looked, and the last time I looked, it was literally 300 and some odd comments.
Oh, well, there's 400
thinking,
today.
Yes, I thought there would be, actually. I haven't looked at the actual thing, but I remember last time I looked, it was like over 300. And I was like, how is he supposed to pick a chick name out of that?
Oh, he will do. he will. He'll be going through them late tomorrow, and he'll choose the name that appeals to him, and it will be it'll be named, and the person who comes up first with the name will get tickets to one of Derek's shows whenever he's around in their area. So, yeah.
Excellent. So, and that was on your personal wall, wasn't it?
No. This is a competition
club,
on the Facebook fan club page, Derek Acorah Official Fan Club. On Facebook, so any entries have to go there. It's no use putting it on my page, and it's no use putting it on Derek's. It's got to be on the official fan club page.
Yeah, and I have put the link into the chat room as well, everybody, so please go and have a look. Click on that if you haven't already joined. So Shelley will be pleased. Now we're adding some more to them. So obviously, you know, it's not been easy, let's just say. You've stood by Derek a lot of the times, and, of course, everybody's going to say to me, well, are you going to ask about the fact, you know, Derek's had to go through a lot of trouble, especially, I mean, you're not always as lucky to find media as nice as myself, that's so polite and things, but there's always going to be those that want to, when you get so far in life, that want to knock you down.
Oh, and, I think that as far as the British newspapers are concerned, not so much the radio stations, but the British newspapers, they're looking for a story, and they're looking for a story that sells newspapers. And unfortunately, in this country, a good story is bad news for somebody. They're not interested in hearing about good stuff. That doesn't sell newspapers. Horror stories and nastiness and bile sells newspapers, unfortunately. Absolutely. Now, the thing is, though, Gwen, I mean, everybody always says, oh, how's Derek? And I'm going to ask you, how did you deal with that, Gwen? Because let's face it, we've Which
always...
Which particular occasion are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. No, but, you know what I mean, how do you... It must be so hard because, let's face it, we protect our loved ones and our partners and our parents or whoever they may be. We protect them. And it must have been hell for you sitting there seeing this
Well,
stuff
it's
and
very
hearing this
difficult,
stuff.
and it's very difficult to see lies written about somebody that you care for.
Yeah.
It's very difficult indeed. And you do find that you feel that you want to stand up and shout and say, hang on a minute, this isn't true. But unfortunately, it's counterproductive in that if I did that, it'd just be more, fan the flames. So I find that the best thing to do is say nothing. And the best thing for Derek to do is say nothing, because the negativity grows if you feed it.
Yes, yeah. I've just seen some of the things. I mean, but the thing is, let's face it, it's not just been Derek. It's been all of the mediums at some point have had their fair share.
Oh, yes, they have, but I think Derek's had more.
Yes.
I really do, because I think his personality has somehow, well, not somehow or another, you know, he has been more exposed to the public eye than any of the other mediums. He's been on so many different television programs that other mediums haven't been on. And so he's been a bigger target, you know. Yeah. And people have been out to get him in the press.
Yeah.
And things have been twisted so much, you know, so there's very, very, very little truth in the stuff that has been in print. I mean, for instance, I can remember being in Ireland with Derek, and Derek's agent at the time phoned him up and said, the Sun newspaper's been on the phone. They want to know. They want to know about Derek being drunk on a plane coming home from Spain. Pardon? Derek wasn't drunk on a plane. You know, so, I mean, where has this story come from? Do you have anything to say to the Sun? Well, no, because it's totally untrue. And the next day we were horrified to see a newspaper article in the Sun saying that Derek had been doing this on the plane, and Derek had been doing that on the plane, and he was rolling drunk all over the place, and it was totally we had an argument on the plane. No, we hadn't. It was so far from the truth. You know, so it was absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It was.
You do wonder if they just pick. Sorry, you do wonder if they just pick the story out of a hat and say that'll do for today.
Well, yes, they do. Unfortunately, in some situations, there are some people who they sit in near you or whatever, and maybe, I don't know, maybe they don't agree with what Derek does, or I don't know what the motives behind it are, and they think it would be a good idea to sell some sort of story to the newspaper that hasn't got an ounce of truth to it.
Exactly.
At all, you know. Yeah. It's ridiculous, but of course it looks good. It looks good in the press, and it sells newspapers.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, nobody would buy a newspaper where you know, somebody phoned up and said, "Oh, Derek Acorah is a really lovely person, and he helped this old lady across the road." They'd say, "Yeah, okay, fine, go away." But you know, Exactly. But that's about everything. And they never put the good news out. It's always about the bad every single time. It changes subject totally. We do animal advocates work on the show. And do you know what? The only sort of dog that ever gets in the paper, usually, we get the odd percent of nice, but very rare, a pit bull's just bitten a kid. Oh, yeah. Do
Do you know what I mean? And so many times, and you just think, you know, we've got some beautiful pictures of pit bulls and stories, and one's just won a massive award in America. 2013 award for, you know, for being with kids at a school, and the kids sit there and read a story to a pit bull and everything. And oh no, that won't get all over the papers, but one ripping a child's face off, it'll be straight on.
But I mean, this is, as you say, it's sort of off subject, but in my experience, I've always had German Shepherds, and they've always been the most beautiful, friendly, lovely, lovely dogs that you could ever wish to meet. And yet they did go through a stage of having an equally bad reputation. But it's because they're big dogs, and if one does, unfortunately, for whatever reason, bite somebody, one bite can cause a lot of damage. I find that little dogs are far more liable to be snappy and bitey, but they don't do as much damage because, of course, they're smaller. But I do agree that, you know, sort of dogs should be kept completely under control and be totally trained, and be kept on a lead at all times when in public places. I wouldn't take our 2 dogs anywhere and just let them roam free, because I think it's intimidating for people, and who knows, they're animals, they're not human beings. Yeah,
and we'll come back to the dogs in a moment, because I want to ask you about, obviously, there was a lot of talk around the Most Haunted, and I used to love watching that show. I absolutely loved it, and Derek was always very good with it, and I loved it. Was the friendships on there as good as it looked from what I was watching on TV?
No. Short answer.
Right.
Not.
I've got to say,
initially, yes. Initially, yes. Later, no.
Yeah. Right. But where on earth did it go wrong? Because I mean, I'm not being funny. Derek was always, I always watched, I loved it. It was so spot on with things. They were, you know, stuff was coming up on the screen, and it was saying that it was spot on, you know, and it was showing. And obviously, I've interviewed Richard Felix the other day, and he was, you know, saying about Derek, and he's still working with Derek and everything. So obviously, you know, and I love Richard Felix. I think he's beautiful. Hi, Richard. Hope you're okay.
Fantastic.
He's
really
amazing.
is. Fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic.
Lovely guy.
I have said to him that I'm going to meet up with Derek, and I'm going to get Richard, and I've got a little event in my back of my mind ready to set up, and I've had a word with Richard, and he said, oh, yes, we'll all be up for that.
Yes, I'm sure. Whatever it is, I'm sure. If Richard's involved, Derek will be happy.
Definitely. But, you know, and it was always, there was always things come up on screen, and it was saying the dates and everything, and Derek, we've got it, and to be fair, it was either spot on or it was very close to it. But obviously, I mean, it's quite funny. I've just had an inbox of somebody saying, ask about Yvette Fielding. Was there as much as what it was saying in the papers? Was it really as bad as what it was saying in the papers, or again, was that a lie?
In what respect?
They were saying that Yvette Fielding was saying this, that, and the other, that there was a war between them and everything. Was it actually a war between them? Was it just a confrontation, or what was it?
No, there was never a confrontation. It was always a mystery to both Derek and I why suddenly the atmosphere grew colder, should I say, and then the penny dropped, and it's my opinion that Derek's popularity became too much, because claims have been made that Most Haunted made Gwen Acorah. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. Derek was on television way before Most Haunted came along. He'd been on television for 4 years before Most Haunted was aired. He had a fan base that was global. So he wasn't unknown. He was not unknown before Most Haunted. I'm not saying that Most Haunted didn't escalate his popularity, because yes, it did. because
Yeah.
Most Haunted, the programme, became so popular, and it was an iconic programme. And Derek being part of it, obviously, he became even more known than he was. But it certainly didn't make Derek Acorah, and it certainly didn't put Derek Acorah in the public eye. And I would say, in my opinion, that the cooling of relationships was purely down to the basis that Derek appealed to the public for whatever reason, whether the people believed in what he did or whether they didn't believe in, they still found him entertaining.
Yeah. I was just going to say, and it's quite funny, Max in the chat room, hi Max, he said Derek made Most Haunted. And that's right.
I've heard an awful lot of people say that. Without
he was
Most
remembered by
Haunted,
Most
there wouldn't
Haunted.
have been the platform for Derek to do what he did, but he certainly added something to Most Haunted that nobody, again, in my opinion, has since. I think it was a hard act to follow. But as I say, that's my opinion, and I'm biased.
No, the thing is, I mean, it's like people have messaged me in the chat room, and they're saying, number one in medium, he's touring and everything. It's not like his world fell apart when he left there. It's still continued to grow.
No,
I mean,
not
he's
at all.
Actually
made. I can
Haunted.
remember the very last time that Derek appeared on Most Haunted. It was, do you know, I can't even remember the name of the location. But we had been waiting for a phone call. We were at a hotel in Derby somewhere, and we were waiting for a phone call to let us know that the person from production would be coming along to show us where the location was, because it's true, Derek was never, ever, ever told where he'd be working on that particular night. And all the stories that have gone around about living television giving him information and all this sort of thing, all these stories is a load of tosh. We were waiting, and we get a phone call saying, so they'll be there in half an hour. And anybody who is a medium knows that a medium has to open up before they work. And Derek had gone through the process, and of course he was draining and draining, because he was told, we'll be along in half an hour. Oh, it will be another half hour, and then another half hour. And it was more or less around 8 o'clock in the evening. It was in the summer. It was certainly still light. Before the person from production turned up, and I and Ray Rodaway, who was driving for Derek at the time, we followed the production vehicle to the location, and I can't remember the name of the location. And Derek went in to have makeup done, and I was in the room standing with him, and he sort of got up out of the chair, and he was absolutely drenched in sweat, and he'd gone pale and whatever. And he went out into the garden area. And Claire Hollywood from Living Television was at the location at the time. And she followed him out, and I followed them out. And he said to me, I can't do this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. I'm finished. I'm done. And Carl and Yvette were called out. They were told that Derek no longer wanted to continue with the programme, and that was it. We went home, and that was the end of Derek working on Most Haunted. So all the stories about him being sacked and finished and this and that and the other, total and utter lies.
Really?
Yes.
So everybody, you heard it first on the Ask Show. What exactly happened? Because I know it's so hard, because, and this goes for a lot of different stories. Again, Gwen, we do read the papers, we do watch the TV, and sometimes we don't always see the truth. Do you know what I
No,
mean? So,
because the truth manipulated, or the
yes,
truth is, well, it's certainly not the truth. I've heard lots of stories that have gone around about, oh, Derek was sacked. No, he wasn't. Derek walked away because Derek wanted to walk away. The previous October, he'd given his notice in to say that he would work for one more, well, he wanted to leave in the October because he felt that he'd done enough with Most Haunted, and he wanted to move away from it.
yeah,
Living Television had said to him at that meeting, do one more series and give us the opportunity to develop a program for you, in your, sort of a program for you. And so he agreed. So he filmed Series 6, or he filmed almost all of Series 6. Meanwhile, Living Television were developing the program which ultimately became Derek Acorah's Ghost Towns. And he also agreed to do 2, maybe 3 more Most Haunted Lives. The last one to be at Halloween, 31st of October, I think it was 2005. He'd walked away from the actual filming of the program in the summer of, I think it was 2005, and he did the actual last live Halloween 2005. And that was when it was publicly announced that he was leaving, but he'd actually already left.
Yeah. And the thing is, going back to it, we never hear the old thing. All I want to say to everybody, if you hear anything about Derek on the grapevine, I know if you message Gwen, she would just tell you the truth.
Well, yes,
so
I will
if
do.
you hear something, just have a look on her profile, because trust me, she will have had her opinion already on that status.
More than likely. But
in a nice way.
No. It's an awful lot of lies, rumour.
Yeah.
Has gone around. Derek, unfortunately, has been tied very much by a confidentiality clause in his contract with Antics Productions, and it was Antics Productions who employed Derek, not Living Television. And of course, he's had to adhere to the confidentiality clause. It is with our lawyers at the moment, who are looking over it, because confidentiality works in 2 different directions as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
You either all keep stum, or you all tell your own side of the story. One side of the story's been told, but the other one hasn't yet. But Derek is writing his autobiography.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, it'll be a good read. It's almost finished, actually.
When's that going to be out? Do we know?
We hoped that it would be out this year, but it'll be the beginning of next year now.
Excellent. I can hear the fan club already cheering about that. Oh, and this is the thing. I think there'll be a lot of people wondering, because
a lot of people do.
Yes, it's like they'll be wondering how, excuse me, how he's going to approach it and how far he's going to release. Can you say
he's
how
going
far
to
he's
approach
released?
it
Has
honestly.
he literally said, has he actually put it all as it is, or is he held back on some?
I would say that it would be more or less all as it is.
Yeah.
All the areas that have been covered by others, he has a right to reply to that.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely so. And has he done an autobiography before, Gwen?
No. He's written a number of books before that have been partially autobiographical, but only really touched on his private life. But this will be less of his spiritual life, obviously. There will be elements of it, but more of the Derek Johnson, should I say?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm getting some points put in. Faith has just posted, Ghost Towns was fantastic.
Derek enjoyed making that enormously. It really, really was very good.
Yeah. Yeah. Faith put, is he ever going to finish it?
Finish what?
Not when he's naming chickens.
Is he ever going to finish what?
I think she's meaning the book. I think there may be a couple of seconds behind, you see, so I think she's catching up. So.
Oh, I see. Oh, yes. Well, it's almost finished now. It's a strange thing when you start writing a book. You don't realise the enormous quantity of material that's involved. I mean, when he's written books before, he's been commissioned to write a particular book on a particular subject and a particular amount of words. But an autobiography is more than that.
Yeah, yeah. I can honestly say I'd be terrible at writing a book because I think to myself, I'd start on one topic, and if they said to me one topic, forget it, because I'd just go lead to about another 4 different ones. So when do we get the Gwen Acorah's side of life?
Is anybody interested in that?
Well, we've got quite a few people in
every day
now.
on
That's
the Facebook
funny.
page.
That's really funny because Faith has just posted in the chat room, I think Gwen should write one. See, Faith, we were thinking alike then. The chat room's going to light up in a minute. I know it's going to. But what parts do you remember? What things that Let's look at some good things. It's good to have positives, but what things do you remember that you have good thoughts on? What places have you been, and what good memories have you had? I mean, I know there'll be loads. Is there some that stick out more than more?
Oh well, as you say, there are so many. But I felt totally privileged going to Egypt with Derek. That was absolutely amazing because we got to see stuff that you just wouldn't see normally on the tourist trail. And some of the houses, some of the places that I've been with Derek in both ghost towns and most haunted. They've been absolutely fantastic, so seeing behind the scenes and learning more about the locations than you would normally learn about. I've been totally privileged in being allowed all these things, and hopefully in the spring of next year, Derek will be going on a trip to the sacred places in India.
Right.
And that, although India's not somewhere that I'm looking forward to going because I'm not a great lover of Indian curry, as far as the culture's concerned, I'll look forward to doing that.
Yes, yeah. So is there anything that Gwen would like to do? Because obviously, let's face it, you're obviously with Derek all the time. Is there times when you would just like to take time out, Gwen, and just go and do go and have a week away for yourself? And where would you want to go, and what would you like to do? Have you got dreams?
I don't think I'd like to go for a week away. I mean, so when I go away, I do like to be with Derek, and I hope he feels the same. He's not showing any signs of feeling any differently.
I didn't mean that exactly how it sounded, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? Just when it's like your time, when if there was somewhere you would really like to go that you've not been, that's got an interest.
I would love
to
go to Alaska. I'd love to go to Alaska, and I would love to go and whale watch. I would love to do that, and I've been trying to persuade Derek to do that for quite some time now. And I think I'm getting there. That's one thing I'd like to do.
I'll tell you what, I'll have to have a word with the people that do the we watch the whales of the preserving them and various things on the show as far as advocacy and everything. Now, I may have to have a word with a few of them maybe for you.
Oh, yes, please do.
Maybe you can make a bit of promotion out of it so we can be helping them at the same time, because obviously with the whales and dolphins and everything, they're obviously, all struggling in one way or another.
Oh, yeah.
All animals, actually. So, yeah, I'll have to have a word. We'll have a word about that, Gwen. Maybe we can talk something.
Right. I'll wait in eager anticipation.
Yes, we'll wait for that one. But I can remember Derek saying when he came onto the show also about he wasn't it? He wanted to do a parachute jump or something?
Well, he did have the opportunity once upon a time.
Yeah.
He did have the opportunity. And at the last minute, he bottled out, and he got Ray to do it for him.
He obviously saw something we didn't.
But
oh, bless him.
He's always talking about getting a microlight. Because he'd love to have a microlight. Now, that's all very well, but when Derek was taking his pilot's license, I went up on his first lesson with him. This is many years ago.
Yeah.
And I wasn't particularly instilled with confidence when he had his headset on back to front. And I was in a tiny four-seater plane, which is like the little mini cars, the old mini cars?
Yes. Yeah.
It's like that with wings. And I was sort of scrunched into the back seat, and the instructor was in the front seat with Derek next to him. And there's Derek sitting with the microphone bit on the back of his head, basically. I thought, oh my God. And we were on the ground at this point. But and another thing, I wouldn't have gone up if I'd have thought for a moment that Derek was going to land the plane. But I didn't realise they did that on first lessons. I thought it'd be this chap just taking us around and taking off and flying around and coming back and landing. But no, we got up there and Derek was doing all this stuff and he had to land the damn thing. Oh, God.
And what was that like, Gwen? Did he actually do a good job of it?
Well, he got us down. I'm still here to
tell the tale.
It's not something I repeated, believe you me. No, I didn't go up on another one.
Oh, dear, Gwen. I can just imagine you sitting up there going, I'm sure he's got that the wrong way round.
Well, it was one of those situations where it was you're waiting for the instructor to say. Unfortunately, he did. You've got your headset on the wrong way round. Sort of.
See, I wouldn't have been able to hold it in. I'd have already been laughing so loud they wouldn't be able to stop.
I was too frightened to laugh.
Not when he's going to be flying in a moment, no. So did he actually get his licence for that then?
Yes, he did, yes. And he did it in far fewer lessons than they thought he would, because he was in his early 40s at the time. They said, oh, yes. He did very well, actually. But ever since then, he's said, if he wanted to get this microlight and announced to me that I'll get a two-seater so you can come up with me. Don't bother. Get a single-seater, because I ain't going nowhere with you, chum.
No, I tell you what, I'll come along, we'll get the flask out, love, and we'll sit in the car.
I think that's a very good idea.
What are you like with heights, Gwen?
I don't mind heights. I don't, as long as it's the top of a ladder or somewhere safe, but not up in a plane with Derek, and certainly not in a microlight.
No. I can remember when I was in New Zealand for a year, and we had this great suggestion of being stood in there, and they said, oh, come on, let's go and do a bungee jump.
Oh, a bungee off the, oh, God, what tower is that in Auckland?
Oh, yes.
The Sky Tower, is it?
It's something like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we had one. It was like one of the largest in New Zealand, and it was on this big long bridge. And
Yeah.
I can remember looking, and do you know what saved me from doing it? It actually turned around and said, if you've got a problem with your back or anything, please do not do it. And I actually had twinges for like the 4 days before. I still believe they did that to me purposely, so I didn't have to do it. I'm not being funny.
Right.
I only walked where
I would have
my partner at
invented
the time.
twinges.
I couldn't. There's no way. I just looked at that bungee, and they're doing the calculations, your weight times by length of rope times by. But whoa, excuse me. I'm going on your calculations whether or not I'm going to hit the floor or not. Whoa, no way. It's far too dangerous.
I don't blame you.
Would you ever do anything like that for charity? You know,
No.
bungee jump or something?
No.
No,
Definitely
I
not.
wouldn't either. No, not a chance. I'd be far too frightened. So what is that you'd like to do that's sort of out of the norm, Gwen? Is there anything else? Obviously you said about the dolphins, but is there anything that you'd like to sort of make, do you know what I mean, something different?
No, I can't think of anything. I really, really cannot think of anything. That I'm certainly way past the stage of wanting to be a daredevil. I really can't think of anything that I would like to do that would be hair-raising or risky in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
I've come to recognise my own mortality.
You're saying you're over that time. I'm not being funny. I never had a time. I've never really liked heights, and I never wanted to do a bungee jump or anything like that.
No. Bungee jumping and that sort of thing just does not appeal to me at all.
No.
Anything where you are risking your life, no, I'll save it for other people and let them enjoy the thrill. I'll watch.
So, obviously, we've said about direct flying and things. What about driving? Do you drive?
I do.
And who mainly
And I often
drives?
have a driving instructor in the passenger seat.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Or
In the
somebody
form of
telling you,
Derek.
like, I was just going to say. Is he a Mrs. Bouquet?
He most certainly is. Yes.
I love it.
To the point where I've often pulled up and said, no, you drive. Taking into consideration that I've been driving longer than Derek.
Yeah.
So yes, we do have those situations.
Oh really? Oh, that's funny.
Doesn't
I've been. Sorry?
Doesn't everybody?
Yes, I've had the one where I got out and slammed the door and walked off. It's funny. I love hearing all these different things when people have had, you know, and especially when you talk to somebody and it's the same and you think, good grief, yes, I've done that myself, you know.
Well, I think everybody does. I mean,
yeah.
I think people have this perception that Derek and I live this life where we're thinking about spiritual things all the time and musing over the meaning of life, but no, we're not. You know, so when Derek's not working, he's a normal man, and normal men tend to turn into driving instructors when they're in the passenger seat when the wife's driving the car.
Yeah, definitely. Is it difficult when you go out, Gwen, and Derek's not working and you wanted to have a bit of time? How is it when you go out? Obviously, Derek will have been noticed everywhere that he goes. Is it hard sometimes?
No, people are very good. Generally, people are very good, and they do respect our privacy. You do get the occasional time where somebody will sort of come up and plonk themselves down and want to have a reading, but that happens rarely.
Yeah.
You know, it's I mean, we went for lunch when we were in Spain last time. We went for lunch with Colin Fry and Mikey, and it was lovely because people left them alone. They didn't intrude, and you know, so it really was nice. Once you've finished your meal or whatever you're doing, occasionally somebody will say, I didn't like to intrude, or I didn't like to interfere, or whatever. Would you have a photograph or an autograph or whatever, you know? So then that's okay. That's perfectly acceptable. I don't object to that, nor does Derek. It's only very occasionally that people do sort of, you know, take it a bit too far. We're very fortunate.
Yeah.
I mean,
sorry.
No, I can remember years and years and years ago when Derek was first starting out, you know, so we used to say, I don't understand how people can be so rude to people that are you know, following them, giving them a living, whatever, however you'd care to describe it. But sometimes, on the very odd occasion, there can be situations where you can sort of appreciate the fact that others have got short-tempered. Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. I just love it. I just like the idea. Like when I spoke to Derek, it's just lovely to chat to him. And I think everybody in the chat room will agree that both of you are, like you said, just normal people. And that sounds a bit of a daft thing to say, but it's like your statuses, Derek's statuses and everything are, you know, talking about I love it when you talk about the chickens and the dogs and the pictures. I mean, that picture with Derek and that chick, it just absolutely, I loved it.
Oh,
it was just like so natural.
But
you know what I mean?
Baby.
Yes. So how, I've got to go to the animals, sorry, but how many chicks have you got?
How many have we got? We've got 13 chickens and Charlie the cockerel. We've got 7 ducks.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. So have you just got one little baby chick, have you?
And one little baby chick, yes.
I just got this vision we were going to say 9, and then I've got a vision we were going to have another picture of another name in. Oh, my goodness.
Well, we haven't had Charlie the cockerel for very long. And he's certainly ruling the roost.
Right.
He keeps a very close eye on you when you go in the run, you know, sort of, and you think, oh, I'm not going to turn me back on you.
Yeah. So, and who named Charlie?
Derek.
Oh, it did Derek name? Right. Yeah. It wasn't another choice from the fan club.
No, it wasn't. No. Naming the chick is a first.
Oh, really? Oh, excellent. I love it. Absolutely love it. Well, see, I mean, I've got the 3 dogs and I've got 2 chickens and we've got 3 rabbits and we've got the cats, and it's just like a little menagerie, do you know what I mean? And I just love it. The idea of going home to the animals, I mean, you must really miss them, you know, when you've been away for a few days and you come back to the dogs.
Oh, we do. We really miss Jack and Penny when we're away. Because, well, they're part of your family. They're our children, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're both getting on a bit now. I mean, they're both 11. But
are they?
Oh,
what breed are they?
Jack's a standard poodle, and Penny's a German Shepherd. I mean, Jack, he doesn't look any different now to when he was 3, 4, whatever. Penny's showing her age a little bit, but not much. She's just gone a bit grey, really. But no, they're both doing well. We adore them. Absolutely adore them.
And did you have them some pups, or what's the score with them?
Oh no. We've had them both from pups. I think
Yeah.
Penny was about 10 weeks old when we got her, and Jack was a little bit, 2 or 3 weeks older. But
Really?
we've had them both from pups. Yeah.
I've just got to say to Max, who's a good friend of mine, he's in Belfast, Gwen, so you'll have to catch up with him. Also a psychic and lovely, lovely energy, and he's going to go all bright red in the chat room now. But he's just said, Gwen, you'll have to call the next chicken Sue.
Oh,
He thinks he does think he's so funny, doesn't he? He thinks he's hilarious. Funny man. So when you go to Belfast, if you could just give Max a bit of a cut round the ear hole when you're around there, that would be great.
I'll do that. I'll do that. But it'll probably be next year. So because Derek's, although he's going to Ireland, he'll only be in Southern Ireland when he goes over in November.
Right.
So, but it'll be Belfast next year.
Right. Yeah, he's in Belfast. Yes. So we'll have to arrange that trip round the year. That's fine.
You drop me a line and remind me. I'll sort Max out for you.
Well, actually, I know. I'll get him over here just to visit, and we'll come up to one of the events. Okay.
Right.
We'll come and see you so we can have an earlier trip round here. Any excuse, Max, to go and see them. Oh, actually, we'll come and see the chickens.
That's right, yes. Yeah.
It's so funny. I've got to say that Sherry, who's in America, she's just said Sue's chickens wander in the kitchen. And do you know what they do? I was on the phone talking to America the other day, to me in America, talking about the show and everything. And I went, oh, I am so sorry. And they said, what's that? They said, what's that noise in the background? I went, it's a chicken. And I went, where are you? And I went, I'm actually in my living room, but it's coming into the kitchen. And they were just laughing their heads
But they
off.
do. I was brought up on a farm, and the chickens used to just wander around and whatever. And you often wanted some come toddling in to the house.
The most funniest thing, Gwen, was when you put a chicken in your nan's bed when you was a kid. Those chicken just stayed under the cover. I said to my nan, I put you a spare sweet under the pillow, so she went to have a look, and there was a chicken in her bed.
I've never put a chicken in the bed. I did put a tortoise in my brother's bed once, but
Oh, I tell you.
I don't think he ever recovered from the shock.
You don't have to be British. You don't have to be crazy, but it's something else.
He was only about 6 or 7 at the time, and sort of he went to bed and put his feet into the bed and came across this tortoise. I was a wicked older sister.
Oh, the things I used to do to my nan, it was hilarious. My nan used to always have a breakfast table. You know, the older people used to always set their breakfast table up, didn't they, as they called it, the night before. And my nan had a little plate ready, and she used to always have a cup upside down with a teaspoon right by there and everything. And she used to get up about 10 o'clock. Well, us kids would be up, 8 o'clock. So we used to go wandering about the farm and round the fields and everything, and we find this frog, and I'd come up with this great suggestion. You can imagine it, can't you? When Anne sits down, gets the little sketch thing, she lifts up this cup, and I tell you what, literally spot on timing of this frog, jumps just as she lifted the cup up. She screamed the place down. Well, I don't know, I didn't wet myself.
Oh, God, that is so awful.
It was so funny.
Frogs.
I'll tell you.
I cannot abide frogs.
Oh, really? What about spiders?
Spiders are okay. There's one sitting next to me at the moment. Don't mind spiders at all, but frogs, oh, no.
Now, what is it? Is it like newts and frogs and toads and everything, or is it just specifically frogs?
Frogs, newts, toads, anything like that. Oh, no. I just can't deal with them. Awful. Slugs. Anything slimy. Oh, no, no. But insects don't bother me.
Yeah. It's quite funny because if I'd got Kathy in the chat room, if I'd have said the word spider, she'd have jumped about 6 feet in the air. Oh my goodness, she hates them. One day we were talking on the phone and she's literally screaming. And I'm like, whoa, what's the matter? And she went, oh, there's a spider. I went, it's a spider. Crazy. But no. So is there anything else that frightens you? Is there anything, like we said, that you're okay with heights? A lot of people are frightened of old heights and you're okay. Is there anything else that frightens you?
No, I can't think of anything really. No, not in the normal day-to-day events. No, I don't think so.
No.
Pretty okay about things.
Yeah. But see, I just love the fact that I saw Derek with one of the chickens once before, and I think it was when you'd bought the 3 of them, didn't you? Didn't you buy 3 or 4? And I saw the picture of that, and I just thought, that's just so lovely. The idea that you come home and you've got all the animals, because I know what I'm like with mine, and there's nothing that can beat it than the dogs greeting you at the door and so happy to see you and everything, and it's just lovely. So, yeah, we'll definitely be coming for a photo with the chucks and you, okay?
Okay.
we're
Chickens certainly do bring a garden alive. I've got to say that, sort of, whereas you look out of the window into a blank expanse of grass or flower beds or whatever, there's always something going on if there are chickens or ducks around, stuff. I mean, ducks are absolutely hilarious. They really are.
They're funny. Absolutely funny. I had some once before, actually, and I used to love it. They would know as soon as that hosepipe. I used to try and sneak out and put the hosepipe on for fresh water for them, and they knew.
Yeah. It
didn't matter where they were in that garden. They knew what I was doing. I'd try and sneak and all sorts. Do you know what I mean? And every time they just knew. That was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And so what else do you like doing at home then, Gwen? Obviously, we've got the animals. What else do you like doing at home?
Well, I'm not at home very much, really, because I tend to spend the majority of my time travelling around with Derek. So when we are at home, it's catching up on the things that need doing, usually paperwork with me and housework, which I don't like, but have to do, obviously. So, yeah, my really sort of only treat to myself is doing this family tree thing, which tends to be all-consuming once I get started, sort of it. It's difficult to break away from it. But,
exactly.
I like reading. I read a lot. And that's it, really.
Yeah. Oh, and what books do you like reading? Is there any topic? Anything in particular?
I like historical novels. I like historical novels. And I like reading actual sort of factual history stuff as well. Yeah.
All right, excellent. See, the thing with me is I don't seem to get time to sit and read. Do you know what I mean? Are you one that can get into a book and you continue reading, or are you one of them that stops and starts?
Oh no, if I start reading, I can just forget time. I won't hear people. I really get absorbed into what I'm reading. Derek can have a long conversation with me and I won't have heard a word because, so I'm busy concentrating on what I'm reading. But I like to read in bed as well. It's part of my going to bed routine. I've got to have a read before the light goes out.
The thing is it that you get back home really late on a lot of occasions, though, Gwen, due to the fact of what with Derek and everything?
Well, yes. If we're coming home, I mean, if we're on a run of 4 or 5 shows, they tend to be in an area of the country where it's not practical to come home, so we'll stay in hotels. But if it's somewhere that's the Midlands or whatever, we'll come home. But it does tend to get to sort of 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe sometimes 3, before we're we arrive back home, and then of course it's very difficult to get to sleep because you're still seeing the lines in the motorway.
Yeah, it's almost like an adrenaline rush, isn't it? You're
yeah,
still
that's
hyped up
right.
from the event, and you're talking about what's happened and everything to go with it.
Oh, well, Derek couldn't go to bed. He couldn't go back to a hotel room or come home and just go straight to bed because he's still sort of, as you say, on an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
But then he will become very tired very quickly once that, so he'll reach a point and then it's woof. And he really does need to, because he expends an enormous amount of energy when he's doing a show. I think people maybe think it's an ego thing or a gimmick that he changes his suit halfway through the show. It's not. It's because he's expended so much energy. He sweats so much that his suit is really wet.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's a difficult job that he does. It is.
Yeah.
It's a difficult job.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
No. Do you worry about him, Gwen? I've seen it a couple of times when we've seen him on. I'm going to go back to Most Haunted. But when there's times that we the visitors, just the viewers have been sitting there worried, sick, thinking, is he going to be okay? What's it been like for you, sitting on the background there, like dying to go to him, but can't obviously because the cameras are rolling?
There have been times when I've been concerned. Definitely.
Yeah.
I have total and utter faith in the fact that Derek is very, very experienced when he's channeling, and he knows exactly what he's doing. But there have been times where I've thought, this is going a little bit too far. And I have sort of been very, very tempted to sort of say, stop, stop the cameras. But, sort of ultimately, he's been okay. But, yes, there have been times when I've been concerned for him.
Yeah.
But as I say, he's very, very experienced, and he does know exactly what he's doing. It's not something that people can go into lightly and do at the drop of a hat. It takes an awful lot of preparation and practice. And Derek sat in rescue circles and this sort of thing in spiritualist churches for years before he ever went out in investigation. So he has had an enormous amount of training by people who are experienced in the field, so he didn't just decide one day, I'm going to channel a spirit. It wasn't that way at all. As I say, he spent many years in rescue circles with spiritualist churches and working with mediums who were rescue mediums, and so he knows his subject inside out. Yeah.
Now, are you as squirmish as, sorry to say your name, but Yvette Fielding? Are you the sort that you'll hear a noise behind you and you'll jump 6 foot, or are you quite like, it's okay, it's just a noise?
I'm not squeamish at all, and neither is Yvette Fielding.
Good comeback, I like that.
I do tend to be. I do tend to look at things logically. Yes. If there's a creak or a groan or sort of a noise, you do try to explore all logical explanations first, and then if there are no logical explanations, you start looking for a paranormal explanation. There've been lots of occasions where there's been a chandelier swinging or something, and it's been a case of, Oh yes, well the windows aren't very well sealed, so there is a bit of a draft coming through. So so
Yeah.
that's why the chandelier is swinging. But there have been
Yeah.
occasions where I've been in places and I thought, oh yeah, it's not the sort of place to want to be on my own. Applehampton Hall was one of them. I can
Yeah.
remember walking up the stairs there, and you have to remember that when filming's going on, and especially in confined spaces, there's no room for me hanging around behind the camera. So I tended to be on my own in possibly another part of the house or on a stairwell or something like that, in the dark. And yes, you do sometimes get a feeling that you're not actually alone. Let Castle was another place that I was in the Great Hall on my own, and the only illumination was the pag light from the camera coming down the spiral staircase, and that was another time when I thought, oh yeah, sort of maybe I'll just go up those stairs and sort of join the people there.
I'm coming. Yeah. I'm being asked by Max. He said, "Can I ask Gwen about the night in Pendle Hill live? Did she worry about Derek that night?"
Well, yes, I do. When anything is happening that it did to the degree it did in Pendle Hill. It's a very strange place, and everybody seemed to be affected by it. But the worst place, I think, was Brannigan's nightclub. I think that is the worst place, and where I've been most concerned about Derek's welfare, because he just lost the use of his legs completely. And that continued on for about half an hour after filming, and I was concerned then. For the whole of the time that we were in the nightclub, it was it had a feeling about it, and Derek had gone with Carl Beattie, just walking around, having a look at things, and they'd gone up behind there's an enormous great organ, the organ pipes that these huge organs have, and they'd gone up behind there, and as I say, this was before filming, before anything was happening, and Carl said that he'd been pushed. However it happened, Derek managed to grab him. He would have been, if not killed, he would have been badly injured had he fallen, because it was a long way to fall. Derek managed to grab him, and that was really the start of it. So that it just things gathered momentum from there. But I do remember being in this small room, and Derek was channeling this, whoever it was, I can't remember. And it was totally dark. You've got to remember, it was totally dark. You couldn't see a thing. And Derek was sort of walking around at speed, sort of, and it was as though he could see. He was obviously the person that he was channeling was in a different realm where he could see everything, and I was thinking, oh my God, sort of, I mean, it is so strong a spirit. He's going to fall. He's going to to really hurt himself, but he didn't. So that I think Brannigan's was the worst place, although Pendle was quite bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the funniest one, I thought, was, where was it? It was the Witchfinder General. I can't remember the name of the place. It was down Essex way.
Right.
And when they got stuck in the quicksand.
Oh, really?
Nothing paranormal about it, but it was
Hilarious.
highly hilarious, although very, very dangerous.
When has been what's been the best? You know, when you have people say to you about, oh, the reading was absolutely brilliant. Is there any time that Derek's absolutely blown you away with something? Where's the one place that it was like there was no doubt in your mind?
Oh, there've been a lot of those.
Yeah.
I mean, with private readings, obviously, I'm not there.
Yeah.
So I can only see the playback that comes via the internet, where people are thanking him and saying, sort of how utterly amazed they were at the reading that they'd had. But on stage, I think the one that touched me most was the time when Derek told a young lady in the audience that she was going to have a baby. And this was, she'd been trying for so long, her and her husband, they hadn't been successful at all. And he said, not only are you going to have one child, you're going to have twins. And one of them's going to be very special. And
right.
The following, it wasn't the following year, it was the year following that. So 2 years down the line, he got a letter from this young lady saying that she would like to meet him at the theatre and introduce him to her twins. And it was the young lady that, sort of Derek had said she was going to have twins, blah, blah, blah. And she said, and one of them did turn out to be very special. She had, she was disabled in a way, but she was such a sweet soul, such a lovely, lovely child. And that was one of the ones that touched me most. Yeah,
yeah. Confirmation on a whole new level. Yeah. Just amazing. We do the shows, we've done psychic shows, I've done events and everything, and it is just amazing. I mean, Derek's gift is has blown, I'm sure, plenty of people away with the things that he said and how he's brought it through. But I think as much as anything else, it's his personality, his fun with it. It's not that every time he's given a reading, it's something of a negative or somebody's died or whatever.
Oh, no.
He's brought that fun with it as well.
Yeah. Derek doesn't deal in negativity, and as far as he's concerned, he will, if there is anything of sensitivity to pass over that maybe isn't such good news, he tends to couch it in words that would only make it apparent what he was saying when the event actually happened. He's not out to frighten anybody. He's not out to spread doom and gloom. He thinks that it's the responsibility of a medium not to frighten people and not to just sort of give out bad news. If there is bad news, it should be given in such a way that it's because people dwell on things. I mean, if I was told some things, I'm sure that from time to time I'd think, ooh, I've been told this or I've been told that or whatever. And he said that's not what mediumship's all about. Mediumship is proving life goes on. Yeah. And giving people hope for, not hope, but a belief that there is something more. Yeah. Yeah. What is it that obviously he's done Most Haunted. You're saying that he's just obviously doing more TV programs and anything. Mm-hmm. Is there anything that Derek's got that he would like to do come the future? Where do you see both of you in, say, 10 years' time or whenever? Have you got things that you want to even better what Derek's doing already? Derek adores his work. He does.
Yeah.
I can't see Derek ever retiring or ever wanting to do anything more than what he is doing. He absolutely loves his work, and he loves the joy that he can bring to people when he gives messages to them. I mean, yes, there are things away from work that he'd like to do. I mean, he'd like to see a little bit more of the world than we already have seen, but not from a spiritual point of view, just from an interest point of view. But even if he cut down on his stage appearances, I would say that he would possibly write more and share his what he receives in written form rather than from a stage or a platform.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, we've got Profundity is in the chat room tonight, and he's, but geez, I was just informed that we're having chicken for supper.
Well, it won't be one of ours, that's for sure.
Oh dear. And Sherry's just put, I like to think the chicken I get at the store is not the same as the chickens that wander in Sue's house. They come in and eat the chicken, the cat food and everything.
Do they?
Yeah.
That's cannibalism.
I'll tell you. No, do you know what? When I was interviewing Derek, I brought up on the subject of obviously the world that we're living in at the moment, and obviously how Great Britain is, or not so Great Britain is at the moment. What's your thoughts on how the world is at the moment, Gwen? And you know, and obviously spiritualism is coming more and more into people's lives, and I don't class it as a religion for me. I class it as a way of life.
Well, I think spiritualism may be coming more into people's lives, but spirituality isn't. And that's sad. I don't think that that people care quite so much about others, not as much as they used to. There's so much going on in the world today that I feel quite sorry for younger people, because the life that I led as a young person and people before me, the young people now will never ever have that quality of life.
No, you're absolutely right.
And it's not. I mean, it's more materialistic now. I mean, children today have far more than, say, I did or people like me did, from a material point of view. But they miss out so much because of everything's so. It's all technology these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I can remember talking to somebody not so long ago, because I do crossword puzzles and this sort of thing to pass away the time. And I said, sort of, can anybody think of a word for so and so? And it's, oh well, I don't do crossword puzzles, but I'll Google it for you. So I thought, oh God, sort of, what is the point? What is the point? What is the point? So if you just never challenged in any way, because everything's all there. Google. And I think that life has become more difficult. Yeah.
I just feel that, we've got, even on Facebook, we've got a page called Hey Mr. Government Globally, and that's showing all the different things that, is going on in the background sort of thing. And it's like, I keep saying to everybody, nobody connects anymore.
No, they don't. No.
And I was walking down the street, and I must admit, I've always got my mobile on me, because obviously we're doing the show. The people that need to get in touch with me because of doing the shows and Sue, I can't do it, or, we need to do something else to go with it, or whatever. So I've always got the phone. But I'm watching, and people are walking down the street, and you can talk to people, and they're saying, oh, we're just going to put this on Facebook. I'm thinking, hey, hold a minute, we're just talking? And people just seem to be so rude.
Well,
you go into a shop.
They're more self-absorbed than they ever were. And as far as mobile phones are concerned, oh my God, sort of, if you stand, as Derek and I do, sort of hovering around stage doors and in doorways, having a cigarette before he goes on stage, and you're watching people sort of walking backwards and forwards. So many people are walking along and they are on the phone, speaking or texting or doing whatever, and it just seems to have taken over people's lives, so I think it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, but people don't connect. I mean, I'm not being funny, but I'm not going to say that word again. I'm 39, okay? But I'm thinking to myself, even, when I was younger, we used to do things. We'd go fishing and, and we'd go for long walks, and we'd be able to go off down the field and not come back till we're hungry. Do you know what I mean? Our mum didn't have a search party out after half an hour because we disappeared. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and
I think it's so changed that much that even my children, I don't let them go too far because you don't know who's about.
Well,
and then I just think that the government isn't protecting us enough against.
Well, I mean, what can the government do? What can the government do to make a difference to society? Sort of, what is it within people that has suddenly turned what used to be a caring society into a society that you have to be careful of?
I know what you mean. Do you know what? I'll tell you something, and I'll send you an event link after we've done the show. I started an event because 5 miles up the road there was a gentleman that I have found out is a paedophile. He has abused children. He went to prison for that. He came out from that, and he has now done stuff. I won't go too much to detail, but to horses and to 2 dogs.
Oh my God.
As well. And do you know what, Gwen? I am horrified to tell you that this guy has been let out. That is what I'm talking about. The government is not protecting us.
Yeah.
Why is that sort of person allowed to go back out on the streets? And plus, why aren't they having a term in prison that is accountable for what they have done? There is no
unfortunately, the prisons are overcrowded. And unfortunately, people do.
There isn't. Sorry, I don't believe there's a preventative to stop them going into prison. It is even if they get to go to prison. So they get 6 weeks in jail for doing something. I mean, for instance, a guy buried 2 puppies that were literally a few weeks old alive, and he got 6 weeks in prison.
Well, as far as animal cruelty is concerned, it's something that I cannot abide. I cannot abide. And as far as sort of harm to children and older people are concerned, I don't think that people should see the light of day ever when they've committed crimes of this nature. But the sad fact is that the prisons these days are so overcrowded that they can't accommodate the magnitude of people that commit these sort of crimes, and these sort of people, the numbers are growing, and it's a sad statement on society. But I still don't see what, the government can punish, or the legal system can punish, but what creates the problem? What causes the problem? Because I don't remember there were occasions where somebody would get murdered. There were odd occasions where you'd see, sort of harm done to an animal or a child, but not to the magnitude that happens today. And that is a society thing. And
Yes.
I just don't know what the answers are. I really do not know. What is it that creates this monster in society today?
Yeah, it frightens me because I mean I speak to the children when they come home, and they'll say that, you know, a child swore at a teacher, or they were doing something to be horrible to a person or whatever. Not my kids, I can tell you, because they would be in serious trouble. But you know, and I just think there's no respect. I mean,
No,
if the police
I think that's
us,
what it is. There is no respect. There's no respect for human life. There's no respect for animal life. There's no respect. No. That is something that's gone out of the window. I mean, when I was at school, we would have been trounced if we'd have spoken to a teacher in any way than utterly respectful. Not only would we be in trouble with school, but we'd have been in trouble at home as well. You know, authority these days is held for nothing, because authority is handcuffed. You know, so that people aren't allowed to smack a child, or you know, sort of it's an old saying, but spare the rod and spoil the child. And I'm not advocating beating children or in any way whatsoever, but I do believe that people need discipline growing up, because if they don't have discipline growing up, they won't be a disciplined human being as an adult.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? I've quite happily, and I am quite easy in saying that if my children go beyond a boundary, that I would smack their bottom. And that's not thrash their bottom, that is smack their bottom. And the reason is this: I am 39, I have never touched drugs, I've never been in trouble with the police, I've never come home for troubles for my mum and dad and everything else, and here I am doing a show. So those smacks that I got off my dad, who I thought at the time was a horrible person, was actually making me respect my parents, my grandparents, and the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
I agree
trouble,
with you.
I would have been too frightened to go home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, yes. That's the way that it used to be, but not anymore. Not anymore, because there are no penalties to pay.
No, absolutely.
You know, so people don't have to be answerable to what they do. I mean, these internet social networking children is it Ask FM or something like that?
Do you know, I've heard about that actually. I'm going to look into that,
where children have committed suicide, or youngsters have committed suicide because of bullying. Why are the parents allowing them to be on these networking sites? Because where a networking site is attracting an audience, you won't get the people closing it down, because there's too much money involved, because they're getting a great big fat sum of money for advertising on those sites.
Yes.
So the answer has got to come from at home, unfortunately. Parents have to take responsibility and actually see what their children are taking part in, and putting a stop to it if they are joining any of these awful things, places where people are allowed to abuse people and say nasty things to them, and prey on people that don't have self-confidence.
Yeah. What do you think, Gwen, is going to be a factor that could change the world then? Because, you know, like you said, you know, it's about respect, and it's about, you know, there isn't we're not allowed to sort out our kids. We're not allowed to gain the respect, because the government took off that respect because they said we couldn't smack our kids to a degree. You know what I mean? Now, I know obviously there is people that push them limits to the total, way past boundaries, and I understand that. But we've got to get a respect for each other and a respect for our elders and the uniform and everything. How do we gain all that back?
That's a question for the universe, isn't it?
Yeah, I just like
well, I think that children
right.
should be brought up to respect others, principally by the parents, because that's where, you know, the Jesuits, give me a child till he's 7 and I'll give you the man. So principally at home, that's where it has to start, because children go off to school, and if they're not taught to by the parents to respect the teachers, how are the teachers going to have any control over them? I don't think that parents should offload responsibility for the child's behaviour onto the school and say, oh, well, the school didn't do this, the school didn't do that. I think parents have to take responsibility for their children and the behaviour. I think that not sentencing, but the punishment system should be a little bit more stringent, where people do have to be responsible for their actions and words. And I think that social networking sites should be policed far more stringently than they are.
Yes, definitely so. Definitely so. Do you know what? It's like my children are on Facebook, and the people that know my kids, it's quite funny. I've got Sherry and Max and everybody, and they keep an eye on my kids' pages as well, and they've notified me if anything there's everything, but touch wood, we've been okay. But, you know, they are advocates for the animals. They share pictures of
well, that's what social networking is all about.
Exactly.
You know, sort of, I can see room for it in our society where it's an extension of going out and meeting your friends and keeping scrapbooks and this sort of thing, and joining the guides or the clubs or whatever. It's an extension of that. But it's got completely out of hand, and unfortunately it's controlled by people that really, really shouldn't be in that position. Exactly.
Do you know what, Gwen? I've some. Let's end. Coming up to the end of the show, I want to tell you about something I thought was beautiful, and you'll go with this, and I'll share you the video after the show. And I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but there's a video going around, and there's two guys, and they say about, you know, there's all these trends that's on Facebook, and it's all being passed around, all these stupid dances and all sorts. And they said, but we want to share with you a new trend, and it's called Go to a homeless person and make them smile. And all these young people are going to homeless people and giving them fruit and T-shirts and a jacket and all this thing. And do you know what? I was looking, and there's over 1 million shares on one video.
Well, that's heartening to hear. It really is.
You know what? I was sat there close to tears, and I was thinking, why aren't we sharing things like that? And then I looked at things, and I was thinking, oh, my goodness, it is. They are sharing it. But we need, and do you know what? I've got to say to you, Gwen, I am going to do that. I am going to take my kids, and I'm going to go to homeless people, and I'm going to video my kids giving that, and I'm going to say I'm with that trend. Because what a beautiful trend to have. That's exactly the sort of thing we need, is where we're starting to give to those less fortunate than ourselves.
Oh, yes.
And it's just, there's just not enough of it about. Just not enough of it about at all.
No, there isn't. There isn't. But I do think that there are an awful lot of people out there doing an awful lot of good.
Yes.
And there are an awful lot of kids out there that are doing exactly that sort of thing. Unfortunately, it's the not so nice minority that hit the headlines all the time.
Yes,
but generally,
like you said at the very beginning of the show, Gwen, isn't it? It's the bad that gets shared, the good doesn't.
Oh, it's true. It's true. Yes.
I mean,
it's far more titillating to hear something bad.
Yes, exactly. Well, do you know what? I don't know about everybody else in the chat room and everybody listening all over the world tonight, Gwen, but I have got nothing but good to say about you, and I will definitely be sharing tonight's show because it has been an absolute pleasure talking to you today.
Oh, that's very kind of you. Thank you very much.
I've got to say that you're both very lucky to have each other because Derek was an absolute gem to be on the show, and the same applies for you too. Just very down-to-earth people. And I've got to say to everybody, as soon as I said to Gwen and as soon as I said to Derek about coming on the show, it was straight away, of course I will, that's fine, and we organised it. And it's just been an absolute pleasure, Gwen, to speak to you, and just lovely to talk to you about everything, which I knew was exactly how we did it.
Thank you very much. I enjoyed it, and I hope I haven't bored too many people.
Oh, no, not at all. We've still got plenty of people in the chat room, you know. But listen, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight, and I will share those links to you after the show as well. And of course, we'll get people to friend you on Facebook if they haven't already as well.
Okay, fine. All right.
Thanks ever so much, Gwen.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of the week. And please send our love to Derek as well.
I will do. I will.
Okay, I'll speak to you soon. Thank you, Gwen.
Bye.
Thanks ever so much. Bye-bye. And I would just like to say a big thank you to everybody tonight that has been listening in the chat room and obviously has been listening also from Derek's fan club. I have shared the link into the chat room, so let's just see how we get on there. So I'll be going and have a look in the fan club in a minute and seeing how they got on. I want to say a big hello to Faith and also to Shelley that I know are both out of the fan club. So welcome, Faith and Sherry. Hope you're okay. And also, let me just have a quick shout to Max, to Faith, to Margaret, to Profundity, to Sharon, to Shelley, and to Sherry. And a big hello, of course, to Derek as well. I'm sure we'll be listening, and a very big thank you to Gwen as well. I've really enjoyed tonight's show, and maybe, just maybe, we could do a Derek Acorah fan club show where you could ring in and maybe say some messages, or maybe you've met him and you could call in and tell us about that and what he gave you as a reader. Maybe that might be a time for another show. Also, please have a look at the new website. It's www.asksueradioshow.com, and go and have a look. We've got quite a few different things. We are advocates as well for many different things, for the children, for psychics, for animals, and all sorts, many different shows. And if you'd like to come on the show, maybe you're a psychic and you'd like to come and do some readings with us, by all means, give us an email. It's asksueshow@gmail.com. That's asksueshow@gmail.com. And we've got a group on Facebook, Ask Sue Show. Go and have a join of there and let us know what you thought. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to speak to you and start again. It's been a pleasure to have you all listening. Please join us. We will be on another night. I'm not sure about tomorrow night, possibly on Friday. So please have a good rest of the week, and I'll speak to you all very, very soon. Thank you very much, and good night. Bye-bye.
If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? If it hadn't been for Cotton Eye Joe, I'd been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? Get out, Mr. Eye Joe.